You're listening to the Armchair GM Sports Network.
This is Rod Mahood, your in-game voice of the Niagara IceDogs, and you're listening to the Dog Pound Podcast on the Armchair GM Sports Network, your podcast source for all game analysis, team interviews, and up-to-date news regarding the Niagara IceDogs.
Perlini! Overtime! IceDogs win! They score! Verhage was also jamming away. It's a power play goal for the IceDogs. And they score! Hosang, first goal as an IceDog. Strom stops Shipley. Richie scores! Gets it to Akil Thomas. Thomas has the angle coming in. He scores!
Welcome into another Dog Pound Podcast, the official podcast of your Niagara IceDogs, right here on the Armchair GM Sports Network, proudly brought to you by Global Pet Foods, where pets are undeniably part of the family in their three great Niagara region locations in Niagara Falls, Scott Street in St. Catharines, and in Font Hill. Thank you to those that are tuned in on the video version on YouTube. Make sure to hit like, hit subscribe, and smash that bell, and you can do so right there on that QR code, as well as those listening to us on your favorite on-demand audio platform. Thank you very much for doing so as well. Give us a follow on X at Dog Pound Podcast. Stay up to date with all of our IceDogs coverage, as well as on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok for all of our short reels and content. Brandon Caputo and Christian Simmons are with you to break down the pure Michigan sweep for the Niagara IceDogs up in Flint and Saginaw this last weekend, improving to 3-1 on the OHL season, completing their second full week of the 2025-2026 Ontario Hockey League regular season schedule. We're going to hear from IceDogs head coach Krys Barch with his wrap-up thoughts from the weekend, earning all 4 points. We're also going to quickly discuss some news regarding one of the IceDogs players that's going to be showcased and spotlighted on a national stage later in November. We're also going to touch on the goalie situation in Niagara, because it is quite the topic of discussion right now for a lot of people. That also is still part of the overage situation that we've been talking about for quite a while. And as well, we'll talk about the three NHL affiliated players being back in the lineup and that immediate impact they had this past weekend. So, Christian, as we kind of get going here, let's start off with the news, because I think that's what everybody wants to hear about. We weren't able to talk to the young man last week when we did our practice availability that's up on our YouTube channel. We spoke with newcomers-ish, Hayden Reed, Artem Frolov, and Cole Cooksey. Great to talk to those three gentlemen. But Ryan Roobroeck named to Team CHL. He was actually the first forward selected and the first player for the Ontario Hockey League chosen. The other two were defensemen from the Q and the WHL. And obviously this is big news for Ryan Roobroeck, the IceDogs now third-year player with the extra year of eligibility because of his late birth date, to have this opportunity in November to show scouts that he, potentially is a top 5 pick in the National Hockey League. Just, your thoughts on him being announced to this.
Yeah, man, the CHL is letting the dogs out. If somebody wants to play that song in the background, but great news for Ryan Roobroeck. Excited for him. And for this season, I think it's really exciting for him and his family to have him there to showcase his skill sets and what a player he is. He's going to do exactly that. He's going to have a great season for the IceDogs as well. I think it's fantastic for the Niagara IceDogs as well to showcase one of their own. And I think we're all really excited to see what he's going to do there at that Prospects Challenge and playing against some of the best in the CHL and, of course, in the United States as well. So a great opportunity for him. Really excited for him. Congratulations to Ryan Roobroeck and his family, and to the Niagara IceDogs family, another one of our own, leaving the nest, so to speak. It's sad in a way. It's bittersweet, but I think very well deserved for Ryan Roobroeck, a guy that, 100% belongs there. But it's just, it's kind of like packing the car on the way to college and your mom is already crying from the front door watching you like on your way out. This is like kind of similar to that. He's packing the car. He's submitting applications right now, right? He's picking out where he wants to go, what program. And like, we're just kind of standing here like, this is it. Like, we're shedding a tear kind of in a way, but we got one more season left, maybe two, but I think, nothing but good things from me to say about Ryan Roobroeck. Very well deserved. And I can't wait to see what he's got in store.
And that's the luxury, right? Like we talk about it all the time with those 3 NHLers that were gone for the first week. I mean, that's what happens when you start developing really good players, is that they're going to be away at showcases, away at NHL teams, away at tournaments. Like they're going to be away at these bigger showcase events. And you're going to have that organizational depth that Frankie Vola, you can see with the 14 forwards currently still on the team, that, you have to overcome some of these things when you're a really good team, and not every team is the London Knights, in history, where they're able to overcome when they've got 5 or 6 guys away at these things every single time, it seems, and they're still able to keep their head above water until they get their full complement of players back. But, again, this is the double-edged sword of junior hockey, right? It's special players and special showcase for not only the player, but the organization that he plays for in junior hockey, and then elevating to next year's NHL draft. Just going to be exciting. And we have the luxury of him having that extra third year, as you mentioned, that some players don't get, but being a late September birth date, and he just celebrated his 18th birthday last weekend. So shout out and happy birthday to number 25, Ryan Roobroeck. Finally turned 18
on the 25th. For number 25 storybook in that way. But yeah, happy birthday to Ryan Roobroeck, and what a birthday gift this is, hey? One final go, one final kick at the can, and an opportunity to show his best and brightest in front of NHL scouts at the Prospects Challenge. But yeah, really excited for him. I mean, what else can you say? It's going to be exciting, to say the least. And to your point, it's what happens. You got a good team. Those players belong to other teams as well. They belong to Team Canada. They belong to the World Juniors. They're going to belong to, at the NHL for a period of time, in training camp. So this kind of stuff happens, and it's just a testament to the team that Frank Evola has built. And for Krys Barch to, kind of come into an opportunity like that. And we'll talk about Krys later in the show, but it's exciting all around that you have a guy that, is selected to be in the conversation with some of the best and brightest. So what are you going to do? It's the same as in the NHL. Like if you got 4 or 5 superstars on your team, those guys are probably going to the Olympics, right? They're going to go play in the 4 nations, and whether there's a break or not, like it's still, comparable. This stuff happens, and it's just nice to have one of our own in that conversation. It's great.
Absolutely. So again, all the flowers, well earned and deserved for Ryan Roobroeck that are going to come this season for him in the Ontario Hockey League. So we'll move on. We've got our show topics there, as you can see up on the video version on YouTube. We're going to talk about the Michigan sweep, 2-0, Christian.
Oh yeah, baby.
They have done this before. I believe it was 2021, 22. Somebody's probably going to correct me if I'm wrong, but they did do this. But again,
find it out right now.
That was a little bit, I think, unexpected. But I think for this group to be able to come away with 4 points, you get Patterson back, you get He back, you get Ethan Czata back, and all 3 of those guys coming in from those NHL camps. You could tell they had a little bit extra juice, having to elevate their games to those levels, and to be able to start off the season 3-1. I mean, we're going to throw that first game against Brampton out the window, because that was the first game for a lot of players playing together. They didn't have the full lineup either. Brampton was only missing 1 player, I believe, and again, like that was the first time a regular season game for the coaching staff. There's so much turnover everywhere that like you can kind of give them a pass for that first game, even though it was against a team that they most likely should beat on most nights. But to start off 3-1, Christian, I know we had a post-game show following the home opener, which was electric as well. But being 3-1 at this point through 2 weeks can't be much more pleased than that.
Really can't. And to go back to the Brampton game, like that's just another preseason matchup for me. It's like you said, first game for the coaching staff, first game for some of these players. Like, let's kind of figure things out. Some of these guys probably still, relearning how to tie their skates at this point. It's very early stages. But for this road trip, and like you said, to be 3-1 at this stage at the top of the Eastern Conference and looking, second in the Eastern Conference and looking that good is really encouraging. And it was sad this weekend to not have any hockey at the Meridian Center, but I was still waving my rally towels from home, baby. Anybody on the video podcast can see right here. I got my Niagara IceDogs towel. I was waving it high and proud in my living room watching these two games. And what a display of hockey it was. Michigan was treated to the best version of the Niagara IceDogs that I think we're going to see. You see some of those NHL caliber players and drafted players come back. They had immediate impacts. Ethan Czata has got 5 points already in 2 games. Riley Patterson seems to be an apple tree. He's got 4 assists. Kevin He comes back, gets on the board. And still without Brady Wasselin, and that's probably the most exciting part for me. They played some really, really good hockey over these this past weekend, and obviously lots of bonding happening, and then we'll talk about the goaltender situation, which has me over the moon with the way Charlie Robertson played this past weekend. But just fantastic hockey for 2 games. There's so much to like, and there's so much to talk about. It'd be tough. I could just go on, and I loved Ben Riesnecker fighting in back-to-back games. Once again, one of them was against Krys Barch's son, which is incredible. Like, Judd Naft gets his first in the OHL in his home state of Michigan. Like, it was just a storybook weekend. There's so many things that kind of played into just an excellent 120 minutes of hockey. The IceDogs pull out 2 wins, 1 in a shootout, and then 1 in a shutout performance. It just, you couldn't have asked for a better road trip, and I'm excited to see them do it again next weekend. They're right back on the road. So, the bus and the seats, stay hot in a way. Nothing's kind of going to change, and I think that'll serve them well as they kind of approach the next road trip. And then, as we progress down the schedule for this season, I think, the fact that they found so much success in their first road trip is going to be a fantastic spot for them to build upon. It's going to make it easier for them to play at home and easier for them to play on the road. There's a good feeling. You get on the bus with the guys. You just swept a series in Michigan. We'll go to Sarnia, no problem. I got no issues with that. It's one of those situations where it's just kind of a perfect case scenario for this team to find success in the way they did in Michigan. And, taking a look here at the leaders, if you are watching on the video podcast, all the guys that you want to be right at the top are there. Ethan Czata, 5 points in 2 games. Edgar's got 4, of course, with that magical performance in his home debut, had 3 goals and an assist to go along with it. And then Roobroeck, a little bit of an assist man so far. He's shot the puck a ton, just finding the back of the net once. He's got a goal as well, 4 points. And Riley Patterson with 4 assists. And Kevin He scores once, adds an assist as well. He was also a goal scorer in the shootout, which was incredible to watch too. They went 4 for 4 in the shootout, which it just perfect. There's really nothing to complain about past the with this past weekend of hockey. I think a couple of notes for me, just the odd man rushes against Saginaw. I think defensively they gave up maybe a few more than they would have wanted, and we'll talk about that when we get into the goaltending situation with Charlie Robertson and how I thought he played over the last couple of games. But I do think that would be my only concern. There was a lot of neutral zone positional issues, players kind of coming in on odd man rushes. I didn't really love to see that. But beyond that, nothing but flowers to hand out to this Niagara IceDogs team after a successful road trip in Michigan.
I will say you interpreted everything eloquently, and I will say, but again, 13 minor penalties in 2 games is still I just can't get it out of my mind. And I know I'm gonna ask, we're gonna hear from Krys Barch about that a little bit later, but
yeah, I don't know.
And they took Saginaw had 9 power plays. I think that's what makes Niagara's win in that game a little bit even more impressive. I'm gonna pull up for you guys watching on YouTube just the game stats so you can kind of follow along while we're kind of generally talking about these 2 games. We're not going to go over everything here, but we're just going to kind of talk about the 2 games as a whole. But Saginaw's 2 for 9 on the power play. If they score, one or two more, they win this game. Like, you got to think of it that way. They even had a 4-on-3 advantage in the overtime as well. And it's, again, like, you don't want to put yourself in that scenario where your penalty killers have to do an amazing job every single night. And John Jutsy's done an incredible job with that group so far. But to be 7 of 9 against a potent Saginaw team who I know is still doesn't have Zane Parekh and Michael Misa, and those are two dynamic players. But to be able to be on the road and come away with a 7 of 9 on the penalty kill, that's big for a group as far as the momentum and them trying to build respect and camaraderie between teammates with so many new guys, especially on the back end. And obviously Charlie Robertson played a big deal into that as well. But just the collective unit and the team buy-in, I think, was important for them to be able to come away with the 2 points in the shootout after, what was a very undisciplined game.
Yeah, and just kind of an undisciplined weekend as a whole. They went 11 for 13 on the penalty kill across the entire weekend, which is pretty impressive to do. On the road, 2 games outside of your building, you got, packed barns. I think Saginaw was something around like 3,400 people, and Flint was even more. It was like 3,900. So
it was Flint's home opener.
Yeah, so 2 buildings that are absolutely rocking. Like, the top is just coming off of those places, like a can opener. And then you throw these guys on the power play 9 times, and they only scored twice. That's pretty impressive. And I think, the penalty kill was definitely shining bright. They scored a shorthanded goal in this game as well. Like, they had a strong performance on the special teams. Not the one that you want to see out on the ice as much as they were. But I do think that they rose to the occasion when they needed to. They killed 7 penalties. 7 penalties in a game on the road and still won the game in a shootout. Like, that it doesn't get any better than that. And then in Flint to kill another 3 penalties. They gave up the 1 there, but still impressive. So I think special teams and particularly the penalty kill is a shining star right now for the Ice Dogs in their orbit. I do think the power play needs some work. If you want to kind of flip over to the other side, 15% right now, the power play. It's an absolute mess, which is hard to believe given the talent that they have. But just to focus on this Saginaw game while we have it up on the screen for our viewers, Ethan Czata comes back in his first game on an absolute heater. This guy is as hot as the sun is in Tampa Bay. He brought it right back with him. 2 goals and an assist in that game, 1 coming shorthanded. Some of the plays that he was making this weekend were incredible. Like, I saw 1 goal. It was Grayson Tiller's first as an Ice Dog. He made that incredible play in the high slot, got taken out on a scary looking knee-on knee play, but his edge work to find Tiller was incredible. He finds Ryan Roobroeck for his first goal of the season. He scores 1 shorthanded and then buries 1 in on the rush. Like, 3 beautiful goals this weekend. He had, he's shooting 50%. 50% he's shooting. He shot the puck 6 times. He's got 3 goals this weekend. So Ethan Czata has been incredible for me. In the faceoff dot, he's been great too. He's won 17 faceoffs over 2 games, which is pretty impressive as well. And of course, killing penalties, he's a +6, which is also, a fantastic stat. Krys Barch and company will like that. But I think for me, Ethan Czata was great, not only in Saginaw, but in Flint as well. But a great performance. They were outshot in both of their games this weekend, which is a little bit interesting. If you take a look at the box score here, Saginaw outshot them 37-21. And that goes to, again, some of the things that I'm going to have to say later when we get to the goalie situation. Charlie Robertson stood on his head in this game, stood on his head again in Flint, and gave them every opportunity to win. But I do think offensively, they were given some chances that were just hard to miss. And that's the kind of luxury, going back to talking about the luxury of having a great team and having a team like, the top 6 that the Niagara IceDogs do. This is the kind of stuff that's going to happen. You get 21 shots on goal and you put 6 or 7 of those shots in the hands of some of your superstars, they're going to score, right? They're going to score. And that's what we saw this weekend. They were outshot, but they still It found a way to come away with two big victories, and I think it's definitely character building. Scored 4 goals in the second period in Saginaw. So a nice kind of recovery after a first period that saw them go down by 2. They came back in the second, woke up a little bit, threw 4 in the back of the net, and then, of course, went all the way to the shootout to take this one in convincing fashion. So just a fun weekend, and I think for that game in particular, another storyline, Hayden Reed gets his first as a Niagara IceDog. That's great for him, and for him and Artem Frolov to kind of go on this Michigan road trip early in the season is definitely a storyline for sure. And for Reed, a big way to get on the board, and a nice little kind of rebound comes right to him, and no mistake, he buries it in the empty cage. But lots to like for this weekend for me, Brandon. Anything else you want to add on the box score here in Saginaw?
Well, I will say, I think the power play numbers right now, that first game in Brampton where they went like 0 for 7, I think is inflating that. And that's because they didn't have 4 of their top 5 forwards in the lineup. So again, I think the power play percentage can be a little bit misconstrued right now. But I will say, like, even though they are getting outshot, like you mentioned, I would rather have 21 quality shots than have 50 just flunkers from the blue line that have no chance of going in unless somebody's going to tip it like Joe Pavelski in the slot and, roof it over top of somebody. But like, I think the amount of danger scoring chances the Ice Dogs have this year is something that is more so than we've seen in the past. You mentioned because of those top end players coming back and putting themselves in those scenarios, making those right plays, being able to get guys open in those grade A scoring opportunities that they wouldn't usually get. Like, I think that's, to me, I'd rather have 21 quality shots. That I'm just going to say that. But to echo your point on Ethan Czata, I mean, he was somebody I wanted to bring up because not only was he scoring, not only was he playmaking, not only was he killing penalties, winning faceoffs, he was drawing penalties. He was getting under the other team's skin. He does such a good job of drawing the line but not going over it, as far as being able to lure other players into making mental mistakes around him, because he's such a hard player to play against, and he's able to draw those penalties. I think there was twice when Saginaw and Flint were on the power play and Ethan Czata drew a penalty to get them off the power play. So yeah, he does such a good job of that, and that's something that's not going to show up on the box score as well. And, just you can see his immediate impact coming back in so many ways on this team. And that's why, to me, like, Ryan Roobroeck quietly has a point a game right now. And I'm not going to take anything away from him. But what we've seen from Ethan Czata through 2 games is the reason why I projected him to be one of the most valuable players to this team this year, because of everything he does in the middle of the ice. And in 2 games, you mentioned all of the accolades and the statistics so far. It's just incredible how much of an impact he's made, along with Patterson and Kevin He, all coming back into the fold at the same time this weekend for the first time playing with this new group. It's just really exciting to see what could be the possibility of these guys really gaining some momentum and some chemistry together. You get Roobroeck and Czata back together that were so good, tied at the hip last season, the last 2 seasons since they were drafted in together. And you can really see the progression in Ethan Czata's game. And I know you gave a shout out to Mike Czata on the last podcast, but I want to give a shout out to his mom as well, Jenny Czata, big fan of the show as well. So not only is Mr. Czata a big fan, but Mrs. Czata is also a big fan of the program as well. And that's not to say that we are just going to cater to Ethan or anything like that, but he really deserves his flowers this weekend for how he's played in the first 2 games back.
Absolutely. And to both Mike and Jenny, Mr. and Mrs. Czata, you guys have done a fantastic job of raising that young man. He's turned into not just an exceptional person, but a fantastic hockey player. And to your point, Brandon, and to mine, we've talked about this before. I called him an onion. I'll call him a layer cake today. Whichever makes sense. All right. We'll keep looking for these references to describe this guy's play, because he's got that style of hockey that you just don't see from a lot of guys. Like he plays all these different roles. He brings all these different things that, you don't really have across the board here in this top 6 in Niagara. It's really exciting, to your point, to see kind of what he's going to continue to bring for the rest of the year. And obviously it's why Tampa Bay likes him so much. They signed him right away as a 2nd round pick. And that's rare in the NHL to see a guy come straight in, and sign an ELC after being drafted in the second round. You don't see that a lot. And there's a reason why, because he plays a 200-foot game. It's not just the points, and it's not just the flashy stuff. Everybody can see him blocking shots on the penalty kill. Everybody can see all that kind of stuff. But there's the other stuff that you mentioned, the things that happen outside of the box score and kind of quietly under the radar, the behind the play, the chirping, the getting under your skin, the little things, the positioning. He's a chess player, the Bobby Fischer of the Niagara IceDogs. He just knows how to position himself and his team in the right spots at the right time to make this team successful. He's a gamer. The kid's a gamer, right? Top to bottom. Every zone of the ice, in every situation, Ethan Czata is a gamer, and he's going to give him a chance to win every night. So to your point, into Tampa Bay's position and to mine as well, I'm really happy to see, kind of him getting off to a fantastic start in Michigan this season.
And that goal, to me, that was the goal of the weekend, winning a defensive zone draw on the penalty kill with 10 seconds left in the period. Him and Patterson being able to spring away a 2-on-1 there and be able to score on a breakaway shorthanded as the literally with 1 second left on the clock, I think was a huge momentum boost for the team, and just shows the game-breaking ability that the IceDogs have within their lineup. Even, on a penalty kill with 10 seconds left, they somehow come down and score on the other end. And just really fun to watch. And before we hit the break, Christian, just quick thoughts on obviously Riley Patterson, as we talked about, signing his entry-level contract with Vancouver. Big boost for him, well-deserved and earned over the last few years of him since he signed there, or since he was drafted there, rather. And then Captain Kevin He, everything that he brings on and off the ice as well. Those two players being back along with Czata.
Yeah, no, it's great. It's going to be good for Riley Patterson for sure to come back with an ELC in his back pocket, can kind of just tuck that in there, close the zipper and kind of forget about it, and just play with a little more confidence for him. I think that's going to do him nothing but wonders this year. It puts him in a spot where he doesn't have to worry about that. Let's just focus on this season. Let's go try and win a Mem Cup. Let's try and put up as many points as we can. And I think maybe that's going to allow him to be a little bit more comfortable this season, a little bit more focused on his game and not anybody else's. Just going to play Patterson hockey. We're going to go out there every night. We're going to do things like block shots on the PK and feed Ethan Czata for a shorthanded goal. That was an incredible play. And then he scores in the shootout, beautiful goal, keeping that shootout alive, I might add. Riley Patterson, all the pressure on him. Speaking of him being cool as a cucumber and coming in with a little more confidence this season, that's a pretty confident play from a young man in Saginaw, in another building. All of it, the game basically on his stick, and he puts that one away, no problem. Didn't even break a sweat. And then to move on to the next one, or the next shot, and the next player on the list, Kevin He, comes in right after, and ices the game. Wins it for the IceDogs, and for him also a similar situation, coming back from the Winnipeg Jets camp and getting some of that experience under his belt, made an incredible no-look pass that we've all seen. We've all seen it.
Viral.
I'm sure if you guys haven't seen it, get to the Niagara IceDogs social media, the Winnipeg Jets social media. He is him, captioned all over the place on the Winnipeg Jets social media page. But yeah, got some experience in some of those preseason games in the big building in Winnipeg. Is going to do nothing but add to his confidence and to his maturity as a player. And it's really exciting to see him coming back as well. So the top six is starting to round out, and boy, is it scary. And I think they really alerted the rest of the CHL, not just the OHL, but some players across some of these borderlines, maybe in the Q and in the WHL, to say, what, these guys are coming this year. They're coming. And we saw it in the power rankings. And a couple people were looking at it like, what do you mean the IceDogs are number 5 in the CHL? Like, who's talking? Because you take a look at kind of the last couple seasons, it's hard, and then you bring in these pieces. You bring in a Patterson. You bring in, more mature Ryan Roobroeck and a Brady Wasselin who's looking to take a step. You bring in Arias Schneider, you bring in the guys on the back end, and then to get goaltending like they did this weekend. If those things can come together, this team, mark my words, will be at the top of the Eastern Conference at the end of this season. So, yeah, Kevin He, and that's a hot take.
Our boys in Brantford aren't going to necessarily like that one, but
no, whatever. Send them my way. I will deal with those conversations. Anybody in Brantford has a problem with what I just said, my hat's on the screen. All right, we can go after it in the direct messages. I got no problems with that. The Ice Dogs are looking good, Brantford. All right, I get it. You got Jake O'Brien, whatever. We got 7 bona fide top 6 players, 7 bona fide line 1 players. If you look at our top 6, any one of those guys could be on a first line. Any one of them.
Brantford's got probably the best top 6 in the league, I would say, as much as I don't want to give them credit on this show.
I don't pay attention to their top 6.
It's going to be so much fun. The Bulldogs and Ice Dogs matchup this year is going to be so much fun. I can't wait to get to
Those are going to be fun games to watch. Highly offensive for sure, but I think our boys got it. We got it.
I like the optimism for sure. But the Ice Dogs are ranked number 4 in last week's power ranking. We'll see. I guess by the time this comes out, I think they come out on Tuesday. So the day after this comes out, they'll have the new updated list. But number 4 looking pretty good right now with the Ice Dogs sitting second in the Eastern Conference. We're going to have more reaction. We're going to hear from Ice Dogs head coach Krys Barch's wrap up on the weekend as well on the other side. So stay right here. Be right back on the Dog Pound Podcast, the official podcast of your Niagara Ice Dogs, right here on the Armchair GM Sports Network. Stay with us.
Whether you just brought home a new furry member of the family or would like help finding something new for your picky eater, maybe you've done your research and want to upgrade your pet's nutrition from an entry-level food, the staff at any of the global pet food stores in the Niagara region would love to help you out. Let them show you why our lesser-known premium brands are so much better than highly advertised big corporate brands. The value from the brands we carry is not only visible in the health and vitality in your pet, but also because you won't need to feed as much as with the other brands. Better nutrition from a longer lasting bag. We hope to see you at one of the following locations across Niagara: 3643 Portage Road in Niagara Falls, 160 Highway 20 in Font Hill, as well as 400 Scott Street, St. Catharines. Global Pet Foods, where pets are undeniably part of the family.
J&L Flooring is Niagara's specialty flooring and design company. They take great pride and provide elite customer service and support. With a beautiful showroom, great pricing, and a wide variety of truly unique products, J&L Flooring is your specialty flooring and decor boutique shop. All of their products are environmentally friendly and responsibly produced so you can feel good about your flooring choices. Their goal is to build authentic relationships based on honesty and integrity that they foster with respect and authenticity. Offering a unique and wide range of quality products presented by a knowledgeable and patient team, they simplify the process to make your life easier and to make your home more beautiful. Visit them at 4424 Montrose Road in Niagara Falls or find out more at jnlflooring.com. If you think you can get a better deal anywhere else, you don't know Jack at J&L Flooring.
Are you an employer looking to hire? Let the Niagara Employment Help Center save you valuable time and money by making your hiring process easier. Their services include free job postings in-house and on our website, fill job vacancies quickly and efficiently, access to a bank of potential employees, reduce employment costs, and financial incentives may be available to offset the costs of new hire training. Check out their website at ehc.on.ca or call 905-358-0021 for more information. The Niagara Employment Help Center, helping people find work since 1983.
This Employment Ontario program is funded by the Government of Ontario. Wild Bill's Auto Repair is your local center for auto maintenance and repair in the Niagara region. Since 2012, Wild Bill's Auto Repair and Body Shop has been helping customers stay safe and confident on the road, knowing their vehicles in top running condition through their services. Located at 7868 Oakwood Drive in Niagara Falls, the garage started as a tribute to the owner's father, William Robert Hunter, who passed away, continuing the same community spirit and high level of service which customers came to expect from him back at Hunter's Auto Repair. Their multi-award-winning auto shop has earned the trust of the Niagara community with its fair treatment of all customers who can feel confident they'll get the trustworthy advice and repairs during their visit. Their experienced crew loves meeting new people and looks forward to forming a lasting partnership for the care of your cars. To find out more or to book service, contact them today. 905-358-7868 or wildbillsauto.ca. Wild Bill's Auto Repair, helping customers stay safe and confident on the road since 2012.
Hey, it's Ryan Roobroeck.
This is Ethan Czata.
This is Brady Waslin.
This is Ivan Galyanov.
This is Kevin He.
And this is the
Dog Pound Podcast.
The official podcast of the Niagara IceDogs.
Welcome back to part 2 of today's Dog Pound Podcast episode right here on the Armchair GM Sports Network, the official podcast of your Niagara IceDogs, proudly brought to you by Global Pet Foods, where pets are undeniably part of the family. There are 3 great Niagara region locations in Niagara Falls, Fawn Hill, and Scott Street in St. Catharines. Brandon Caputo and Christian Simmons are continuing to break down the IceDogs 3-1 start after 2 weeks, the 2025-2026 OHL regular season. Thank you to those that are watching us on the YouTube version today. Make sure to hit like, hit subscribe, and smash that bell to stay up to date with all of our video coverage here on the network. And to our audio listeners, we want to give you a shout out as well. Thank you very much for listening to us in your favorite on-demand audio platform, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you're getting your podcasts from. Thank you very much for listening to us on your glorious Monday afternoon by the time this comes out. So make sure you give us a follow on X at Dog Pound Podcast to stay up to date with all of our Ice Dogs coverage and updates there as well. So Christian, on the, I guess the next topic of business here, and again, I labeled it as a dilemma, but it's not really a dilemma. It's more so a luxury. The Ice Dogs goaltending right now. Charlie Robertson, as you mentioned in the first part of today's show, great weekend for him to be able to come back, and Krys Barch will also give him his flowers a little bit later when we hear from him on the other side as well. But for a guy to have double surgery this offseason on his hips and to be able to, he hadn't even got on the ice when we had talked to him at training camp. He'd only been on the ice for like 2 weeks before because he was still recovering from that long offseason. And for him to be able to get in there, and last week didn't play, it was Humphreys that started and then got taken out early, and Yermolenko got all the attention last week coming over from Belarus, the import player, and the great performance he had in the Ice Dogs home opener, almost had a shutout. And we kind of forgot about Charlie Robertson still in this goaltending and overage situation, because they've got 4 overagers right now. They've got 3 goalies, and Charlie Robertson being part of both just makes it a little bit more murkier of waters for him to be able to get through here. But again, no decision on any of those things have been made by GM Frankie Vola, and it might not be made for a while. But regardless, Charlie Robertson lets in his goal in his first shot in Saginaw. And you're thinking, oh boy, let's hope Robo can get this thing back. And not only did he come back, he was the reason, one of the biggest reasons they got the 4 points, because they battled back. He made the stop in the shootout when he needed to, and both teams were going back and forth, made those big saves on the penalty kill, and then comes back with a great performance against the Flint Firebirds, earns that 4-0 shutout. What more can you say about number 77, the Ice Dogs overage goalie?
I'm speechless. I've never seen 2 games where a goalie just comes out and against all odds, adversity staring him in the face. There's all these storylines like, is he healthy? There's 2 other younger goalies, maybe hungrier goalies, and he's kind of, in the eyes of some of the fans and some of the analysts and people like, idiots like you and me are kind of looking at him like, oh, well, maybe it's time for, us to, think about some other OAs. Let's bring in some other guys. He basically said, screw all that, comes in his 2 games and just lights it up. Like he lights up everything but the goal light behind him. He was incredible this weekend. I want to know who the doctors were that performed that surgery this offseason, because whatever they did to him isn't, I don't know. Maybe he's living up to his name as Robo. He's
bionic now.
He's got a Robo hip. He's a robot. Well, he was stopping pucks like he was a robot this weekend. It is incredible to me. And I think, really, you were saying it's not a dilemma. Well, now it kind of is in a way, because I don't think anybody was expecting Charlie Robertson to play that level of hockey, to goaltend in the way that he did this weekend. It's a good problem to have, first world problems. You have a guy, like Charlie Robertson, who maybe wasn't supposed to be that good this year to come in and play the way that he did. So in a way, it is kind of a dilemma. Let's figure out, who's the backup going to be and what happens with the overage forward. Does Cole Cooksey, so there's all these other variables. But I think he played well enough this weekend to have 2 shutouts. And I was watching that Saginaw game. The goals that he gave up, credit to Saginaw. They were able to generate a ton of odd man rushes. They put themselves in positions to score. There was a lot of backdoor passing happening. Robertson didn't give up any high danger direct shots. He didn't give up a single one of them. There was 2 goals in that first period. Both of them were backdoors, right? One of them was an odd man rush where he made the first save. Like they come in, they go back and forth. It was Klepov and Barabanov, those two guys in Saginaw. They're like yin and yang. I don't know. Like they share a brain. Okay. And they've been moving the puck around really well so far this season. And in that rush, they went back and forth and back again, threw it on goal. Robertson made the first save. And then the follow-up was not his responsibility. A defenseman missed a coverage. Puck came right back to Barabanov and he roofed it. And, those 2 goals, not Robertson's fault. The third goal was a triple screen in front of him. He's got 2 Ice Dogs trying to block a shot, and then a Saginaw Spirit cast member standing right in front of him. And then the fourth goal was a tap in right in front of the goal. Puck comes right out front in the blue ice, and a Saginaw guy's standing there with his stick out like this, and he just right in the net. I could have scored that, right? So I don't look at this as Charlie Robertson had a shutout and that's it. He played incredible against Saginaw. He played well enough to shut out that one as well. There was a couple of saves. He flashed the leather like he came across. Like, he looks physically in fantastic shape, and it's really exciting. But I thought he was phenomenal. I cannot say enough good things about his game this weekend. And for me, I'm at somewhat of a loss. Like, I don't know where we go from here. Like, what happens now? If you asked me a week and a half ago, I was like, oh, okay, well, you got, your overagers up front. You got, Cole Cooksey, then you got Tiller, and you got Wysick. Okay, I'm okay with that. We got Yermolenko coming in. We got Matt Humphreys. I'm okay with that. Now I'm not okay with that. I do not think I'm okay with that. After what Charlie Robertson just did, look at his stats here. If you're watching on the video podcast, if you're listening, we'll narrate for you. He had a 192 goals against average and a 943 save percentage. Yermolenko comes in a little bit hotter, 170 goals against average and a 948 save percentage, but he did not see as many shots. Charlie Robertson saw 70 shots. He made saves on 66 of them. And mind you, going back to what we just broke down, he could have stopped all of them. Those goals were not his fault. He could have stopped 69 on 70. And then, in the shootout, had a great performance, gave them a chance to win. So it's tough. And you look at it, he's big, he's 6'4", like he's got all the tools. If he's healthy, like I see him as the starting goalie this year. And then where do the other guys slide in? So for me, it is a dilemma. And I hate to kind of counter you, Brandon, in that way and to go back on what you just said, but it very much is still a dilemma in the sense that now you have a guy playing, a level of goaltending that we just did not see coming. I mean, granted, it was one weekend. Maybe the water's different in Michigan. Who knows? I don't know, right? We're gonna wait and see here. Let's not get up on a high horse and ride off into the sunset just yet. It was 2 games, lots of hockey left to play, but I do think he looked incredible. Like, he looked on it. He was focused. He was engaged. Krys Barch will talk a little bit about his mindset, coming off this offseason in the interview. That Brandon and him had post game. But I think there's just so much to like, because he's a little older, brings the maturity, has the physical capability, is a guy that kind of maybe a little bit more proven than Humphreys and Yermolenko. He's been around a little bit longer. And I don't know. It's just, I'm excited, but I'm also like, now what? So it's a little bit of a question mark still for me, but a good question mark and an exclamation point at the same time. Really exciting to see what Charlie Robertson did this weekend. Anything from you, Brandon, on Robo.
Yeah, I mean, I was just really impressed with everything he was able to do coming off a double hip surgery in the offseason. Like, just incredible to be able to have him play at this level, and with all the pressure of being, labeled as an overager and one of the 3 goalies. Like, he's really making it a tough decision right now for management, for the coaching staff. And right now, I think that's what this team needs. They need that they need that inner competition within their own guys to elevate each other. And I think that's exactly what this goaltending room is going to do. The young guy in Matt Humphrey still, learning and seasoning as far as becoming an OHL goalie, and he's going to be the goalie of the future in Niagara, you would assume, in the next couple of seasons. Charlie Robertson, the overager, and Yermolenko coming in as a Belarusian import. Like, I just think they're elevating each other in that goalie room, and Ryan Ludzik's really trying to get the most out of these guys in a healthy, constructive way. You don't want these guys, butting heads and saying, like, this is my job.
No, of course, yeah.
You want them to have the healthy, competitive competition where they're encouraging each other, but they also know that not one of them is going to be given the net on any given night. They're going to have to earn it. So to me, this is a great problem to have. Got the projected lineup for their last game against Flint up, and obviously Robertson started. Humphreys was backup. Yermolenko didn't dress in either of the games. I don't even know if he traveled with them. Who knows? Maybe that was for precautionary reasons, trying to get over the U.S. border. Who knows? But we're not here to get into a political.
We'll leave that conversation alone.
Exactly. That would just something that crossed my mind. You never know. But again, Charlie Robertson, Humphreys were the goalies this weekend. Up front, you even saw Riley Patterson play some center throughout the 2 games as well, which was nice. He's got that versatility. He can move into the center ice position if he needs to. But, Hayden Reed and Ethan Czata down the middle with Ivan Galyanov, Mateau Spaeth and Cole Cooksey switched for the 2 games coming in and out there. Judd Naft got the Flint hometown bump there, getting up to the first line. We'll hear from Krys Barch about that in a little bit here. And then Kevin He being back. Roobroeck, you mentioned just how much better this top 6 looks. You've got Ryerson Edgar scored a hat trick in his home opener on the 3rd line with Ivan Galyanov as a draft eligible player. And just everything sort of on the forward group just looks so much better for Krys Barch's lineup card, and just us looking at it right now, as opposed to what the lineup looked like on the opening night. And that's also with guys like Brady Wasslin out of the lineup, no Cole Cooksey in there, no Alexander Hage as well. So they've got some good players that aren't even listed here. So it's a great problem right now for the Ice Dogs to have this many players that can go in the lineup and do a good job every night for Krys Barch. And just looking at it, it gives you a lot of hope and possibility for what could be.
Yeah, and to go back for a second just to the goalie conversation, and in a way, it's also an overager conversation. We've had that conversation on this podcast many, many times. But if you look at this lineup here, not a ton of overagers out there.
Right.
Are there? I don't see a Cole Cooksey. I don't see an Andrew Weissig. So you see a Charlie Robertson, and you see a Grayson Tiller. And this is a lineup that shut out the Flint Firebirds. So, it's in that sense, it's also exciting that you don't really have any concerns over that overager too much. We're going to find a way to win regardless of which way we go, right? If one of these guys doesn't have a job, we're going to have another guy, next man up mentality, that's going to come in and play just as well. And we're going to find a way to win games. And to your point, that's awesome. Like, it's great to have that, when you have, 14, 15 guys that, can play OHL hockey, it puts you in a position to really game plan. And for a coaching staff that has a guy like Luke Israel, and this is where I think Luke Israel is really going to come in and really going to shine. He's a guy that brings a little bit of a creative coaching staff. He's a creative coach. He likes to, kind of a chess player as well in his own right. He's everybody else is playing checkers and he's playing chess. It's a copycat league, and it's been that way for years. You see the NHL is similar, but Luke Israel brings a fresh and dynamic approach to hockey that I think will allow this team to be successful. When you have all these different moving pieces, he can kind of like almost like a football team. It gives me like football team vibes where, you have all these different, strategies and game plans and lineups that can, fill different roles. And for me, I feel like that's really exciting as well. When you have a coach like Luke Israel alongside a lineup that's just so fluid and so manipulatable with so many different good versions of, I feel like, the Niagara IceDogs is like a MacBook. You got like a Pro Air and a Mini, and they got all these really fantastic versions of what they have. They can just throw them out there and win on any given night. So that's really exciting. Obviously, going back to the lineup here, you pointed out Judd Naft gets the nod on the first line. Really exciting for him. The broadcast team in Flint were sure to mention that the guest area was like filled with 150 Judd Naft family and friends there to see him put one in the back of the net. No Caleb Monks though, which is interesting. Also a hometown guy, didn't get to play in Michigan. Or sorry, no, he was on. Sorry, I didn't see him there at the bottom on the fourth line. But another guy that's a Michigan native, so great to have him get the start. Mateau Speth and Sean Doherty fill out that fourth line. And then the third line, just kind of an interesting, crafty mix of Wraith Smith, Ivan Galyanov, and some young skill and speed on the wing, and Ryerson Edgar. So that's an interesting third line. We'll have to see if, that's a combination that Krys Barch goes to with more consistency this season. Ryan Roobroeck, Ethan Czata, and Riley Patterson is probably the best second line I've ever seen in my life. That was that. And those are the guys that made the difference in that game against Flint. And that's the luxury you have with a team like this. Those guys can play on the second line. Like, what the heck is Flint going to do about that? What is any team going to do about that?
And there's no 66 Brady Wasslin either right now.
Exactly. It's so encouraging. It's so exciting for me and scary for the rest of the league to say, you know what, like, if that's a second line that can match up against our second line, we're in trouble. Like, we're in trouble. We're going to be walking down the boulevard with a sign that says, "Can you play defense? We need defensive forwards because the Ice Dogs are in town." Like, this top six, the bottom six, the goaltending, the coaching staff, it's scary. It's scary. It's exciting. And I think we got a taste of it in Michigan. They put together some of their best hockey. And it's I'm happy to have them coming home next weekend. It'll be fun to see them on Sunday. I miss it. I haven't been at the Meridian Center in what feels like a year, so it'll be nice to see them come back and see some of these top guys back home at the Meridian Center this upcoming weekend for weeks to come as the Ice Dogs look to continue to build on what they did or what they accomplished, in Michigan this past weekend.
And shout out to the D-Corps. They fly under the radar and still trying to work in progress there with so many new names, but an amazing job in the penalty kill with those guys as well. So we'll see how that sort of rotation works when Wysick is back in there as well. But before we end the show today, we're going to go to Ice Dogs head coach Krys Barch with his wrap-up thoughts on the weekend. That is brought to you by the Niagara Employment Help Center, helping people find work in Niagara since 1983. Check out their up-to-date job board at ehc.on.ca to find your next work opportunity today. Here's what the Ice Dogs bench boss had to say about the 2-0 Michigan road sweep. And we're back on Inside the Coach's Room with Niagara IceDog head coach Krys Barch. Krys, got to be pretty pleased with the Michigan sweep for your first road trip with this group. Could you have storybooked it any better to come away with 4 points this weekend?
Thank you. Yeah, no, I thought the group came together. I thought, what we've worked on over the last 3 weeks and, getting the 3 players back in the mix was a huge boost for us. And you know what, I think just, first and foremost, it's nice getting on the road with a new group. You got some of those times where, at home, you don't always get to spend that, that amount of time together as a group. So I think it was a nice growing experience for that. And then again, a real big bonus coming out of here with 4 points. And again, to win on the road is different than winning at home. And hopefully will give us a real good confidence going into next weekend. So
you went with Charlie Robertson on both nights, and both nights he gave you a really good chance to win. I think he let in his first goal on his first shot last night in Saginaw, but then fought back, got you guys the shootout victory, and then comes back tonight with the shutout up in Flint. How proud were you of your overage goaltender being able to come away the 4 points for you and coming off of what was a long recovery process for him this offseason?
Well, I think you just spoke of it. I think that the recovery from the hip surgeries, there is a mental fortitude to coming back from injury, and an injury of that magnitude. And honestly, it's just great to see a young man of high character, be rewarded. And it's not rewarded. I think it's more of a return on investment for himself in regards to the work that he's put in, both physically and mentally. And it shows in his play. Like you stated last night, goal on that first shift doesn't deter him. He stays focused, positive, and puts a real solid effort forward last night. And again, it continued again. It continued again tonight. I think it's he's an individual that our players really proved to us they really wanted to play hard in front of him.
I know you're not going to be pleased with taking 13 minor penalties over the 2 games, but your penalty kill stepped it up and was 11 of 13 on the penalty kill this weekend, and obviously was a big deal in the win against Saginaw as well last night. So what can you say about your penalty kill, just being able to do such a great job and really give you an opportunity to remain in these games when other teams have the advantage?
Well, they always say, first off, practice makes perfect, so we had enough of that. But I think, John Yitzi, my D coach, has done a great job with that PK unit. A lot of, kudos goes to him. I think also too, the men, the soldiers that go out there and put their body in front of pucks. It's not a sexy part of the game, but it is a huge factor in regards to our success this weekend, and then also success moving forward. I think you look at all those men that played on that PK. It gives us a huge momentum coming out of those great kills, and it translates to 5-on-5. So I can't say enough about it.
And about some individual performances here, Coach. First off, do you know if Ben Reisenecker took any boxing lessons when he was out in Czechia? Fights on back-to-back nights, and I know one was against of your son as well. So I'm sure that was awkward for you behind the bench. But what were your thoughts on your Czechian import fighting on back-to-back nights?
Well, he's very good at it. No, you know what? It's just an element, and just shows the how these guys want to play for each other, support each other. For him jumping in there when another teammate was in a vulnerable situation. Again, actions are louder than words, and seeing that and him endearing himself to his teammates, it's a huge confidence, number one for himself, but also number one for our group and the culture that we want to build.
I know the 3 NHL players being back from their camps here and being engraved into the lineup, I'm sure, was big for your lineup card, but they made an immediate impact. Kevin He with the shootout winner, scored a goal as well. Patterson got on the score sheet, and Ethan Czata, I think, was one of your most impactful players on both nights with everything he brought on a 2-way game and really having a good performance. So what would you think of, what would you say to having those guys back in the lineup, and obviously even without guys like Wassland right now, still being able to be 3-1 after this first 4-game stretch?
Yeah, you know what, I just those 3 players coming back, they've got the experience. They've got the experience of being in the OHL for a number of years. They've got the experience of going to NHL camps and bringing those experiences back to our group. And then I think they just make players around them better. As you see, it just raises the level of our team, raises the level of our work, our execution, and in the end gives us a great opportunity to win. So I can't say enough about those 3.
And then lastly, just on the 3 players that sort of returned to Flint tonight, you had Judd Naff. I think he had 100 people in the crowd, friends and family, that they said on the broadcast, being able to score his first goal in the OHL. Couldn't storybook that any better for the young Michigan native. And then Frolov and Reed playing in their first game against the team that they came back against, and even Reed got a puck in the face there, but came back later in the game. So what would you speak to the guys going back to Flint tonight?
You know what, we started all 3 of them. Knopfler being from Flint, and Reed and Frolov, coming back to their old team. It was nice to give them that opportunity to take the helmets off and stand on the ice and probably hopefully get a good photo op for the family. But going back and playing their old team, it's always nice coming out on top. Honestly, Frolov's been a great contributor in terms of moving pucks, T-zone exits. And Reed, he took a shot to the face today. Comes back, returns, the energy and speed and effort that he's brought. Again, just great performance from all three of them. And again, you touched on it, Knopf, scoring in front of family and friends, individuals that have supported him through his journey. It's, a nice feather in all three of their caps.
Ice Dogs head coach Krys Barch, and inside the coaches room, coach, thanks so much for the time. Safe travels back to Niagara, and I know you guys are back in Windsor and Sarnia next weekend too, so you're right back at it. But congratulations on the 4 points, and look forward to seeing the team again next week.
Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Well, Christian, there were the thoughts from Ice Dogs head coach Krys Barch and inside the coaches room. Pretty pleased. Obviously, they were pretty pumped up. You could hear a little bit of background noise there.
Exactly what I was going to say.
Pretty excited about things. I don't know where he was recording that from, but definitely. But it was just great to hear some excitement in the background, how excited the guys were, the coaches, the players. That you love to hear that. Obviously, for their first road trip of the week of the season, they got another big one coming up with Windsor and Sarnia this week. But just your quick takeaways from what he had to say.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think he loved Charlie Robertson, as we all did. He loved Ben Riesnecker fighting. Gave him a tip of the cap for sure. Said you're pretty good at it, which is a little strange considering his son was on the other end of some of those punches. But and for me, Ben Riesnecker, the way that he fought and the way that he stepped up for his teammates this weekend was really inspiring. Gave me goosebumps. I watched that hit in the corner against Flint. Galyanov took a little bit of a spill, and Riesnecker, with no hesitation, none whatsoever, comes in from the blue line, didn't give the other guy any decision at all. Just dropped his gloves and said, we're going. Like, this is happening. He lost the fight. I mean, technically lost the fight. He came down after, the Flint guy, but still, I mean, he threw some haymakers there. So for me, that's a big takeaway. It sounds like Barch loves that from his group. It's a tight-knit team right now, and following that road trip, it's only going to get better. And that's really exciting to see and to hear. To your point, obviously a whole lot of chaos happening in the room after that victory. I was like having a hard time listening. I was like, I could have sworn I heard Sean Doherty in the back. I was like, just so like a lot of stuff happening there in that interview. But it sounds like the bench boss is happy with what he saw from Charlie Robertson, what he saw from his NHL guys coming back. They had some great performances coming back in their first couple of games. And then, of course, just the chemistry and the team coming together as a unit and showing some flashes of brilliance in Michigan. So for me, lots of positives, top to bottom. The coach is happy. The team's happy. The team's moving up in the East. I'm happy. You're happy. Let's do it again next weekend.
And Judd Naft, Hayden Reed, Artem Frolov all returning to Flint. He rewarded all three of those guys being in the opening night lineup. I'm sure that was big for them. And it's nice to see a coach do those sorts of things. But again, we mentioned it. We've gone over everything on today's show. Can't have much better of a start, obviously, other than the first game that they played, being 3-1. Going to Sarnia and Windsor is always a tough road trip as well, especially how potent Windsor looks like they're going to be this season. So it's just, we'll see how they are coming back to Sunday. The Barrie Colts come in, a team that the Ice Dogs are going to be battling for the Central Division title. A team that still looks like they've got another run in them like last season, and they always play the Ice Dogs hard. So Christian, I'll definitely look forward to another post-game show live on our YouTube channel. And next Sunday, that's going to be another good one. And like you said, can't wait to be back at the rink. It feels like it's been 3 weeks now, but it's only been 4 games, but two road trips.
I know. Feels like it's just not happening fast enough. I was like, the season started, but we've been there once. It's like, what's going on? I want to see some more hockey at the Meridian Center, but lots of it coming, and I'm excited to be there with you and alongside Steve Clark for the pregame show on Sunday. And then we'll have the post-game show as well. So you guys have to be sure to follow Dog Pound Podcast, Armchair GM Sports Network, for all of the Ice Dogs content. I'm stealing Brandon Caputo's lines right now.
I love it. I love it.
Picking up the script.
Picking it up already. That's why you're brought in as the Ryerson Edgar rookie here on the show.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. If I could do a podcast as silky as that kid could put the puck in the net, yeah, you know what? I'd be proud. I'm going places.
That's a good way to end it. So again, that's going to wrap it up for today's Dog Pound podcast right here on the Armchair GM Sports Network. Again, thank you to those that watched us today on the video version and those who chose to listen to us on your favorite on-demand audio platform. The official podcast of the Niagara IceDogs is proudly brought to you by Global Pet Foods, where pets are undeniably part of the family. And there are 3 great Niagara region locations. After every IceDogs home win, you can go to one of those locations the day after, get a free dog treat for your pup as well. So we will be promoting that starting in October as well. So great stuff there. Go check out our merch store there, as Christian's pointing to as well. Get all your Dog Pound podcast merch for the season, or maybe some Christmas gifts for those in your family as well to rep the swag for us this season, especially with this IceDogs team looking to be, exciting one to watch all season long. So that's going to wrap it up for Christian Simmons. My name is Brandon Caputo. Enjoy the rest of your week, and we'll talk to you again after Sunday's game against the Barrie Colts.
You're listening to the Armchair GM Sports Network.